On April 4, 1977, Randy Greenberg and Carolyn Cooley, two Colgate students, decided their best option was to sue the school. They, along with three other female athletes, were tired of not being treated equal to their male counterparts. The university's denial of several club teams' pleas to become varsity programs was the final straw that pushed the girls to take action. In fall of 1976, an athletic commission had called club leaders to make their cases for varsity status, but then rejected the club's proposals, citing that there were not enough financial resources to support a seventh women's team. In addition to this, female athletes complained of unsuitable facilities, lack of funding, lack of student support, and a general feel of inferiority. An investigation of Colgate began in August of 1978 and was finished by December. The Department of Health, Education, and Welfare had found nothing. The women's intercollegiate budget had been increased for the next year so that the men's budget was no longer proportionally larger, and plans for a women's varsity softball team had been made. However, in the words of Jill Cicero, class of '81, the picture was not as rosy as you'd like to believe. In a 1979 Colgate Maroon article, Cicero and her peers expressed their discontent. Men's teams were still given high priority in the use of facilities, while women's teams did not have their own locker rooms or equipment spaces. Professors were accused of making concessions for male athletes, such as football players, that they refused to make for females. Women's teams were often forced to crowd into hotels far from competition sites because of financial concerns. If the men's and women's programs had equal budgets in regards to their enrollment, why was there still such a problem? Maybe it dates back to the very first women's teams in the 1973 to 1974 academic year, or even to the very first women on campus. From the beginning, many alumni thought that having women at the school in general would ruin Colgate's athletics and stop them from being real competitors. Women taking up some of the athletic budget only intensified these fears. Pressure from alumni forced the athletic department to resort to a tier system. Bob Demme, the athletic director at the time, did not like the system, but said that it was necessary under the circumstances. Under the tier system, high-profile teams like football, basketball, and hockey were classified as Tier 1 teams. Women's teams were automatically given a second-tier status. They were not given priority because they were not seen as being able to bring money back to the school and therefore were viewed as not valuable. Colgate as an institution was not purposefully subjugating women's athletics in favor of men's. Some of the inequalities that existed were mostly just the product of many new programs being created at once. It takes time for new facilities to be funded, built, or converted. Women's complaints against the school were a reflection of the culture of the student body and alumni who feared diminishing success in male athletics, rather than Colgate actually discriminating against female athletes. Women's programs were treated unequally, but this signifies an attitude towards women's athletics in general, and not Colgate being an inherently sexist institution.